The Biloxi City Council on October the 1st, 2019. Please rise for the invocation by Major Anita Caldwell with the Salvation Army.
Shall we pray? Father, you are a mighty God. You are the everlasting Father and the Prince of Peace and our Savior. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for our city council members and pray a blessing over them and their families. And we thank you for each person, each citizen who is here tonight. And we pray a blessing over them and their families. Thank you for this great city of Biloxi and the difference it makes in this world. And now we invite you as an unseen guest to be a part of these discussions, and pray that you will be present and that all that is done and said will honor you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Mike, will you lead us in pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Being that there is a change to the agenda, do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Tisdale. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous vote. Ms. Lucy, will you please read those changes?
To our routine agenda, we're adding section 4 for a docket in the amount of $1,355,600. We're also adding another docket in the amount of $825,117.63.
Okay. Motion to approve as amended by Mr.
Second.
Lawrence, second by Mr. Tisdale. All in favor? Unanimous vote. Moving on to the presentation agenda, Mayor's report.
So let me read this proclamation. In the city of Biloxi, whereas domestic violence is a public health crisis that can affect anyone, men and women, all ages, orientations, ethnic and religious backgrounds, and people of all socioeconomic and educational levels. Whereas the Gulf Coast Women's Center for Nonviolence provided emergency shelter and support services for 2,367 victims of violence and receives 15,552 calls to its crisis hotline in 2018, reflecting the severity of the problem within our coastal counties of Mississippi. Whereas advocates, professionals, volunteers, and community members will devote the month of October to raising public awareness of the crisis of domestic violence, its causes, effects, interventions, and prevention. Now, therefore, I, Andrew Fofo Gillich, Mayor of Biloxi, Mississippi, do here proclaim the month of October 2019 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So thank you, and we appreciate the services that you provide. Thank you. If you'd like to say a word.
Thank you very much, Mayor Gillich. Thank you very much, City Council. We really appreciate all of your support through the endeavors that we do. We do serve many, many people along the Gulf Coast. I am a resident of Biloxi. This really does mean a lot to me to have the support of my city for a cause that truly is dear to me. 1 in 3 people are in an abusive relationship at some point in their lives. Since I started working at the center, just in the last few years, when I first started at the center, the phone calls that we got were only 12,000. Now we're up to 15,000 calls a year. So it is a growing problem, and we really appreciate y'all's support. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes my mayor's report. And spread the tribal expenses to the minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. And we'll
Please.
move on to departmental report. We got a tree committee that's going to give us an update. Are they here? Okay.
Hello again. Make me use my Navy voice. Okay, so I'm here today to present the tree committee report. Administratively, we have 2 open positions in Ward 6 and 7. I'm sure these were supposed to be distributed. Do y'all have the spreadsheets?
No, ma'am.
Yes? Okay.
You do? Yeah, I do.
Whenever there are 5 or more protected trees proposed for removal, the committee review is required. We had 1 application reviewed this period, and the information is on the spreadsheet. I won't bore you with all those details. But the Planning Commission did approve the recommendations that we made for the Majestic Oaks Resort.
Geneva, can you speak up, babe? I know, I'm sorry.
Compliance reporting wise, we report compliance concerns to code enforcement and the city arborist, and we work closely with the city to improve the consistency of response. Some typical concerns are stockpiling, incomplete tree permit applications. Citizen concerns brought to our attention through participation in our meetings are utilities pruning, Benaki Street pruning, and the Bertuzzi development, of which I know you are all intensely aware. Woolmarket has remarked on extensive tree removal, and I know that Nathan is on top of that. We've been working closely with Jerry and Eric to develop an educational brochure and work on proposed changes to the LDO. Oh, now my breathing's going to be on that. And let's see here. The city is pursuing funding to support a tree canopy survey, and we also are working with the city to push out any tree-related news and informational, educational information. We have tree permit tracking that we work with Eric. He sends us a copy of the tree permit every time there is one. We have just noted that most of the trees being removed are due to their being diseased, dying, hazardous, or threatening an existing structure. And the mitigation tracking spreadsheet, the ones that are highlighted in yellow are the ones that are nearing their mitigation date, and they're just ones that we're keeping a special eye on with Eric and Jerry again. And that is all I have. If you have any questions.
Any questions? Sure.
Just a quick comment, and that is in looking at the large spreadsheet,
Yes.
the tree committee recommendations, and whether those recommendations were accepted, rejected, or modified by the planning commission. I mean, pretty much most of them have been accepted, and
Yes, sir.
there are notes as well. But anyway, apparently the tree committee is doing what we had hoped it would do. I believe that's accurate to say, and this appears to be an active committee. I know initially it was not an active committee. There's been a change in membership, and members come and go. That's just part of serving the city. But I hope we could get a couple of new appointees in Ward 6 and 7 and keep up the good work. Thank you, Ms. Doomer.
Thank all of you, and thanks to Jerry and Eric for working with us.
I ask you a question, please.
Geneva.
How come 6 and 7 hadn't been filled yet?
There's a process. There have to be interviews, and I think we're just in the middle of that
Have you
process.
talked to the mayor?
Yes, sir.
It's hard for y'all to do anything without having a full board.
It is, yes, sir. And we've made several requests for those members to be brought forward.
Do y'all have at least 4 people going to the meeting?
Yes.
You have to have 4, otherwise you can't meet, you know?
Yes, sir.
And you sure can't make recommendation if you don't have enough people on your board
Yes, sir.
that's attending the meeting.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's why I need you to get 6 and 7 filled, so you and Popo need to talk tomorrow and get that done.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just got a comment. Ward 6, there's some names that have been submitted, and like the chairman mentioned, it's a process. So they're being vetted. I believe one of the candidates, as a courtesy, attended one of y'all's meetings,
Yes.
just as a courtesy to get some insight. And kind of as an ad hoc member at this point. So,
Mr. Blaylock.
but we'll get there. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, the names for Ward 7 have also been submitted, so.
Thank you. And I'm not the chairperson. I just got tagged to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to council reports. Mr. Lawrence?
Okay, you gotta strap it on, cruising's coming. You still got that old car, does it run? You gotta put gas in it, you know? I just hope with, everything gonna be here the 9th, Wednesday the 9th, great for the city. And I just hope everybody, the policemen and everything, I know we moved it to 3. And I think they need to be told they can park in parking places. They can't be parked at 3 o'clock, that you have to move off the street. A lot of people last year was confused. They were sitting there eating in places, told me to go move their car, and we shut this thing down, lost a lot of business. So they can park, as long as they're in a parking place after 3. They just can't be parking in the streets like they were earlier. So the police need to handle that. We don't have to arrest a bunch of people, put them in jail and thing, send them to City Hall. They didn't do that, but I'm just saying. It's a good time for us, and it's great for the city, and great for the coast. It's the people that come to cruise, and without doubt, it's the biggest event. It brings around 25 million to the state every year. It's huge. So we welcome people in Biloxi. We want them to come here, have a good time, and leave happy. Thank you.
Mr. Felix Guines?
Yes, so just want to touch bases. Last week we had Oscar Rinda here, and I talked a little bit about lack of workers, and we still are pretty much in that thing. And I would like some deep consideration as far as de-obligating some of the areas, such as the fencing, so we can get people fencing back up. De-obligate some of the landscaping, so we can get some landscaping done. We have streets that are almost complete or pretty much complete, and the biggest problem is the company don't have enough people out there to kind of get our community back together. And we're getting ready to go into the 6th year, and I do have one of the residents who's here who want to voice some of his concerns, and I think it's appropriate because those are some of the concerns that I have in the community, ongoing. So, Ms. Clyde Fudge, would you come on up and just kind of give an overview of some of the issues that you've been having in your area?
Good evening to the mayor, as well as council members. I'm a constituent of Ward 2 under Councilman Felix Guines. My concerns are that we still have situations going on in our area, such as lighting, especially along Back Bay, where there are no lighting primarily in areas of concern, such as the casino areas, entrances, where the walkways are located. Those areas are accidents waiting to happen, where there should be, in my opinion, caution light areas, as well as striped individual lanes, as well as bike lanes. There are none. At night or in the evening times, it's very hard to see people with dark colored clothing coming and going into their parking from the different casino areas. When you're just driving, it's very easy to hit someone. And as I said before, it's an accident waiting to happen or a death waiting to happen. We've already had one, I think a year or so ago. Now we're looking at more if we don't do something about it. Whether or not it means getting with the Department of Transportation to get these things done, or working with the casinos, because they're the ones that are attracting the customers and getting the monies. The revenue is there somewhere. And it means myself and trying to get it found, find out where it's at to get it done, I'll get it done. But it's some things that are needed. Plus, on top of that, there are 20-year master plans that I don't see anything happening around here in the East Biloxi area as far as growth, other than casino ventures. You see, we have a lot of churches, but no other entrepreneurships going on. And to me, again, that's unthinkable, especially in this time and age. Where's the money going if we're not going to build infrastructure in that area? You know, we have hundreds of thousands of people coming over there in that area, and this is all they see. 2 large buildings and nothing else going on. No eateries. As you know, the only eateries you have primarily are in the casinos. The other businesses, there are none primarily. Quality food, it's the only sustainable businesses going on in that area. There should be other incentives to bring other things there in this area for the growth of the city. I think it would help the whole city, not just a portion of it, but the whole city in itself get a new outlook. Again, as I said before, I plan to look into this as far as the 20-year master plan, because I've envisioned and looked at these things in other cities and aided in these growth in other cities. And since I'm here now, I want to do something to help this city and help this area. And thank you for your time, for allowing me this time.
Thank you, Ms. Fudge. And that concludes my report.
Mr. Deming?
Mike, if you could give me an update on the Pops Ferry Bridge. I know today I had a ton of people calling me asking me if it fell in.
Well, Councilman, along with everybody on WLOX tonight, as you know, we've got almost $700,000 in this year's budget towards a new Pops Ferry Bridge. That money is being spent for environmental impact assessment, the approval of the alignment of where the road's going to go and where the bridge is going to go, and then the beginning of the acquisition of property. The new bridge is estimated to be a $75 million bridge. We're probably 4 or 5 years away from that happening, unless something miraculous comes our way.
You talk about the existing, the
I know
shutdown.
that. I know that. The existing bridges, we just spent over $1 million putting a new cable in for power. There are issues between the digital power and the old analog systems that are there. We are issuing a change order to that contract to have the original company come back and do some more work and some additional training for our guys. But you know, the problems today had nothing to do with digital and analog. It had to do with the fact that the very old mechanical systems, which they opened the bridge up to grease the thing and make it work better, got stuck going back. So it's an old, very heavily used bridge, and other than working on the electrical part, I don't know what we're going to do better than continuing to repair it when it gets stuck.
Well, what are the expectations moving forward as far as interfering with traffic right now?
I'd like to start to answer that question by saying we're about 10 years late working on this project. You know, we should have seen this coming.
Well, what I'm asking, and I get that, is what do we in that community expect for shutdowns moving forward within the next week or two?
It does seem the mean time between failures is decreasing. Whenever the bridge gets stuck, we respond immediately. We get people there. In some cases, we have to have the contractor come all the way from Mobile to help us. The longest delay has been 3/4 of an hour,
So today's issue was corrected, and we don't have anything else scheduled at this time?
The only thing scheduled at the time, and I really should defer to Krista to help me answer this question, a change order. What the status of the change order is.
We don't have any, to my knowledge, there's no more scheduled maintenance for the bridge at this time. We're just waiting on the change order to come back. It's gone to MDOT. They've made comments. We've had to send it back. This is an MDOT project, so we have to kind of check all their boxes. So we hope to have that back here pretty soon. As soon as we get it back, it's going to come straight to y'all for approval, and we'll get that done. Until then, the electrical, we may still have a couple glitches. Unfortunately, today, it was not the electrical glitches like Mike said. It was a mechanical issue. One of the hydraulic pumps burned up while the bridge was up, so I don't know how they fixed it. That's kind of out of my realm, but So we kind of have two different separate things going on here lately with the bridge, the electrical issues and the mechanical issues today that are just because it's an old bridge.
This is an 80-20 match project to fix that bridge. That's why we're deferring to MDOT, because we're spending more money. They've got to pay 80%.
Right. With this change order coming in, what kind of shutdowns would we expect once this change order is approved?
I don't believe there's going to be any more shutdowns. It's basically just going to be getting in there and changing out electrical components to the bridge. Yeah, it's the switches and that communicate between the two. We need to upgrade those now, and so it should eliminate all of these little glitches that we've been having lately.
So,
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
just to be clear, with the change order, the people that live in that area don't need to make other arrangements because there's not going to be any dysfunction of the bridge during that period.
At this time, there are no planned additional closures for the change order work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Tisdale?
Yes, I typically ask each quarter, do we have any city events that will generate revenue at MGM Park to help pay that? How many easy notes do we have left, Mr. Mayor? 17? Okay, good. Good. The numbers. Do we have anything?
None known for this quarter.
None for this quarter. And I remember during budget talks, we have vacancies, police department, fire department, and I know they're always advertising to fill those vacancies. Are all the shifts fully staffed, manned?
They're full if you count the overtime people that are filling them.
Okay. But that's, we've got
this is
budgeted overtime.
Primarily an issue in the fire department.
Right. Okay. We have budgeted overtime, and then we have, I guess, unscheduled or unbudgeted overtime. And okay. The other thing I noticed that we got and thanks for the feedback on the risk corridor associated with our insurance plan for the employees. And I noticed we're in the hole, so to speak, not in the hole, but it exceeded what we anticipated by $105,000 in contributions. And I'm thinking, I know we had talked, we spent some time discussing insurance during one of the budget workshops, and when the administration is going to send around to each department, we talked about educating employees, get them to participate in some of the wellness activities in the insurance plan that we offer, that would help us a great deal. When that's done, when y'all go around department to department to educate those employees, please let me know. I'd like to go. Just, I mean, I find that interesting, but I also know that we've got to do some things differently. And I say we, all of us as employees, we're the insurance company. We've got to do some things to help us be more efficient, so that we can lower the cost and stay within our budget.
Thank you, Councilman, for pointing that out. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner of that handout, you'll notice our trend over the last decade almost, that we get closer and closer to blowing the budget, and this year we did it.
Right. And
we actually exceeded our budget, which means we've got to grab money back out of the general fund to pay for claims and so forth.
And
so where are we headed? You all have talked about this. Where we're headed is an insurance program for our employees that has two tiers. One is going to be one for just emergencies, and the other one would be more of a full-time, full-blown one. And people will probably not qualify for the low-end, less expensive thing unless they participate in our good health program.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to get the employees to participate in this good health program. A lot of industry people do this, wellness checks and so forth and so on. And you do all those things, and you qualify then to be in that lower tier. If you don't do all those things, and you're a smoker and you're this and you're that, you don't qualify for the low end tier, and you pay for the high end tier. That's kind of where we're headed, because otherwise this trend is going to continue, and we're going to be more and more in the hole every year.
That's exactly right. Just over the years, we see, if you will, the reserve just continuing to decline, and basically
it's gone.
It's gone. So we've got to change some things that we're doing. I know that we increased employee contributions a year or two ago. Nobody likes to do that. I hope we don't have to do that, but there are other things related to wellness programs that our insurance program offers that we really need to get employees participating in those. We're not talking about specific goals like losing weight or lowering your blood pressure to a certain. We're just talking about participating, getting those wellness checks, those wellness activities, taking advantage of meta-analysis when you can, things like that. We've just got to cut the expenses, otherwise we're going to have to significantly modify the insurance. So I appreciate you keeping an eye on that, Mr. Leonard. I heard our citizen tonight who made a comment mentioned caution lights. Coincidentally, on Pops Ferry Road, where Trafalgar intersects with Pops Ferry, that's the road that goes directly to Pops Ferry Elementary School, they have some caution lights that used to flash when there were crossing guards there. There's not been crossing guards there probably for 7 or 8 years now. I don't think those caution lights, the buses still come out and go. I don't think those caution lights are flashing. My point being, if they're not there and being used functionally, maybe we could move them to where they could be used in some parts of Ward 2. Just a thought.
Let me comment too on that.
Yeah.
You know, especially I think the IP and getting ready to actually do some upgrades to things, and I'm sure some of the caution and some of the lighting will be addressed very shortly, because I know the folks from Las Vegas were here and you know, looking at that what needs to be done to get all the paving done that have been talked about since you know, Oscar Render's have done all the major stuff there. So I think there'll be some improvement, at least from that area, shortly.
The other thing, just to comment, I'd emailed, I think Christy Billy Ray. I might have copied you on that, Mr. Leonard. I think just on traffic, I don't come down Pops Ferry Road south in the morning, but somebody sent me a picture of traffic this morning. It's backed up, and I don't know if the lights are synchronized or need to be synchronized or can be synchronized. I think part of that is just morning traffic, people coming to work, and you're on a 4-lane road and it narrows to a 2-lane road, which goes back to the bridge again. But just, I don't know, apparently, I don't know if it's a common occurrence or not, or what the deal is, and I'm not even sure of all the factors, but if somebody could look in to see if we can do something to make traffic move more efficiently, it'd be appreciated. I don't know that we can.
You know, what we had been talking about, you know, as far as MDOT and just a long-range plan, because these things take 20 years, but to connect with a 4-lane boulevard, 2 new bridges and so forth from 67 all the way to Highway 90, you know, which, so I mean, the solution is, you know, a little bit more lanes.
To get it done. What do you say? Nothing that time and money can't solve.
That's exactly right. Anything's possible.
The thing I'll close with is just a reminder, if you like to see me needled publicly, and who doesn't, the Biloxi First, which is a nonprofit organization, is roasting me, lucky me, on Thursday, October 24th. Tickets are $50. I now have tickets if you'd like them. And if you don't come. Would love to see you there, and then afterwards you can throw confetti or whatever vegetables you brought with you. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Glavin?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to talk about Cruising the Coast. It actually kicks off Sunday. Sunday begins registration. Centennial Plaza over in Gulfport is ground zero or ground central for cruising, and they have a record number of registered cars this year. I think right close to 9,000 registered cars. So this is a record, unbelievable year for Cruising the Coast. It does continue all through the week. I will say this, we've got a cruise in at Margaritaville Tuesday, followed by Wednesday's events here in the city of Biloxi. So that's going to be exciting, and all through the weekend as well. So come on out and support that. Another event coming up October 7th in Ward 6 is North Bay Night Out. It's going to be a big extravaganza. I've talked to the school administrators actually today, and they told me to mention it to my colleagues on the council. They certainly invite them out. It's a wonderful family event. It's going to be themed around different circus rides and different kind of events for all the kids, and you can really feel the energy, at that event. And then I'm going to kind of talk about Sherry Bell a little bit. Appreciate her efforts out at A.J. Holloway Sportsplex. There's a number of events that have been out there. There is one coming up with LaBelle Femme. It's a ladies Mardi Gras group. They're having a softball, they're invitational, and they're inviting adults to come out and play softball. It's a fundraiser. So the proceeds go for a charity. I can't remember the name, but I got a couple of phone calls from them today asking me to recruit some people. I don't know if we have anybody that qualifies on this council that is athletically inclined, you know. So, but maybe George could do it. And then a couple other things. I want to appreciate Christy, Director Levitard, and Mike and the Mayor's Office for supporting a sidewalk project between Walmart and Taylor Oaks and Arbor Landing by the river. I was out there today, and one of the men that was working, I started to say boys, one of the men that was working, I coached him when he was 10 years old in Pee Wee football, and his name is Brandon Zapata. And he said, "We're going to do a good job out here, Mr. Kenny. You know, I know this is important to y'all." And I also spoke to the Homeowners Association. I'm a member of their page, their Facebook page, and they are so thrilled. So, you know, sidewalks matter. They really matter to residents that use them. The car wash that's by Pops Ferry Hardware, that needs to be addressed. It was temporarily cleaned up, rode by it today just to check on it, and it looks horrible. So I don't know what we can do, what our limitations or what we can do, but it really, it doesn't sustain when they do clean it up. It just gets trashed. I mean, there's trash all over, like it's just dumping trash, and they got broken equipment out there. So I would ask our code enforcement department to take a deep look into that facility and see if something can rapidly be done about that. And that's about it. Concludes my report.
Councilman, I appreciate you bringing up the sidewalk contract. One of the things we're trying to do, and this goes back to Councilman Deming's idea about the mowing contract, we find that, you know, the Public Works Department is like a big old diesel engine. It's steady, 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 but it's hard to react quickly sometimes. Whereas with a contractor, we could do something in a hurry, especially when we have a contract already in place. What we have already in place that this council approved was what I call an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract that's unit price. So if we want 100 feet of sidewalk, it's already a unit price. We can order it, bang, 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 and we go. Especially if that contractor is hungry and ready to go. And that's what happened in this case. So,
well, I'm telling you, my recommendation is, and not just because I coach this board, but they're working their arse off out there, if I can say that. Can I say that on the TV thing or whatever? But they're working their ass off, and I really appreciate it. They really are.
That was a tool we didn't have in our kit bag before that we can use to do things in a hurry for sidewalk work.
Thank you.
Mr. Barrett?
Just a couple things. Mike, we had through an email between you and I and someone in the county, we said that Snug Harbor was going to be on the October 1 deal. Just wanted to check and see when we were going to get that on there. And then a date, and it's a little bit down the road, but December 14th will be our Christmas parade. So anyone that on the council or part of the administration that wants to be a part of that, this will be our third year doing this, and it's grown each year. We encourage anyone that wanted to be a part of that, or anyone who has a float or knows someone who has a float. You know, last year we had a lot of participation, but we do need more floats in that. So anybody that knows anyone or has one, we'd love for you to participate in that. And December the 14th, I believe that's the second Saturday in December. I don't have right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure. Give me 1 second.
The Jim Bird Road project that we're doing in coordination with the county is in the midst of being done right now.
Is that being paved now, or?
That should be a big deal when we get it finished.
Yeah, that's a really big deal, and we're widening that by a foot. That's really a great deal.
City and the county doing that one together.
Yeah, we have several of those going on. That's a great deal. But and I wasn't able to be here last week, so I do have a couple of questions about an item on the agenda. My son had an accident, and I wasn't able to make it, but that's all I have.
Okay, moving on to public agenda with citizen comments. We have a total of 45 minutes allotted. Each citizen gets 3 minutes each to speak on any issue. Once you reach the table, please sign your name and address, as well as state it out loud for the record. Anyone on my left, your right, that would like to come up and speak? Sure.
My name is Tracy Manaman, and I live on Lafayette Street in Biloxi. And I know this is going to go on deaf ears because this is my third time up here, and still I haven't gotten any satisfaction on this. And I am talking about the Bolton State Building Parking Lot Project. The city of Biloxi has broken their own laws. I don't know what part of that y'all do not understand, but you broke the law. City codes and land ordinances are laws. If you are going to enforce those codes on your citizens, that is complete hypocrisy in its truest form. If you're going to force your citizens to abide by their codes, and you're going to charge them for not abiding by those codes, you're a hypocrite. That's all I can say about that. Number one, there was no public meeting that was afforded to the citizens of Lafayette Street, letting them know that a commercial parking lot was going onto their front yards. Number two, the parking lot was built in a residential zone, again, against your city code and ordinances. Number three, the parking lot itself is constructed in a way in which a car has to back out onto a city street. It is y'all's jobs to look at your codes. It is y'all's jobs to protect the citizens. We elect you to protect us, and you have failed. You failed miserably on this. And your answer, well, it's state property. They have sovereignty. True, yes, they do have sovereignty on their own property. They do not have sovereignty on city property. This has now gotten really bad because it's getting even worse. You're going on to the park side, not even to discuss the live oak trees that are being damaged. And I have called and complained about that. Again, we'll see what kind of deaf ears that this does fall on. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else on my left, your right, that would like to come up and speak? Anyone on my right, your left, that would like to come speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jane Shambra. I'm the manager for the Local History and Genealogy Department in the Biloxi Library right down the street. So we're getting ready to have a couple of really neat events that I think y'all would be interested in coming to. We're getting ready to do the annual cemetery tour in the Old Biloxi Cemetery on Highway 90. It's the 13th annual historic cemetery tour. This year, the theme is Biloxi's Colorful Past. So we expect to have record numbers of people coming. It will be on Sunday, October 20th from 2 to 4, and then Tuesday, October 22nd from 5 to 7. And the topics we'll be discussing will be, of course, prostitution, gambling, liquor, and all the good stuff. And it is part of Biloxi's history, but that's what people want to hear. And whether it was illegal or legal, that's not an issue here. So basically, what we've done is first we've decided on the theme. We have the theme. And then we selected characters who are connected to the theme and are connected to the cemetery. So then we do some research for all the characters, and they dress up. There's about 15. They dress up, and they tell their story. So basically, you believe that you're looking at that person. And so I think, Mayor Gillich, you're going to be doing some storytelling. And we also have Mr. Secura is going to do some storytelling regarding a famous hotel as well. So this is something that you really need to come and see. It's put together by, of course, our department at the library, the Biloxi, Main Street, South Mississippi Gulf Coast University Department of Arts and Letters, Biloxi Public Schools, the Biloxi Bay Area Chamber, and of course, the city of Biloxi. So I think this is going to be an amazing event. And before that happens, on the Tuesday before, which is going to be Tuesday, October 15th, we are given permission to go to Savonian Lodge to do a little presentation. It should be really cool. And with that, what happens there is you can come there. All of this is free and open to the public, so please spread that word. We will have an explanation of this year's cemetery tour, how it works, where you park, about the theme and so forth. We will have a couple of the characters come do their presentation, so you'll get an idea of what to expect. And so our department will do a couple of other little stories that really have nothing to do with the cemetery, but it has a lot to do with the history of Biloxi. We're going to have somebody come and talk about prostitution in Biloxi. We're going to have somebody else in our department talk about ghosts and pirate stories that are connected with Biloxi. And then finally, Madame Pauline will come, and she was a clairvoyant in the 1920s, and she came to Biloxi every summer, and she was able to do fortune telling. And at that time, it was legal. It's not anymore, so you can't do that. So anyway, stay tuned for the information on this. If you want more information, you look at your B newsletter that comes into the mail every month. If you do not have one, then go get one downstairs at the library or the community center, the visitor center. And if you know someone that's interested in reading it, please hand out yours. If you have somebody that's a friend that lives in Ocean Springs or Gulfport, please have them read these as well. These little newsletters have all kinds of neat information in it. So we hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on my right, your left, that would like to come up and speak? If not, citizen comments are now closed.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, is this under the purview of the code office or the police department, but fortune telling is illegal? I mean, well, Doc said, no wonder we don't know what's going on.
Learn something new every day. Moving on to the policy agenda, Ms. Lucy, will you please read Ordinance A?
Ordinance to amend Section 16.25 and 6 of the Code of Ordinances.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Being a first reading, we'll move on to Ordinance B.
This is in your ward.
Ordinance for a comprehensive zoning map amendment for property classified as RS10 low density, single family to RB regional business for properties identified as 933878, including 2 unaddressed parcels upon West Oaklawn Road.
Previously moved by Mr. Glavin and Tisdale. Mr. Glavin, you have any discussion?
Yeah, I moved it in the absence of the good council member from Ward 7, so I yield my rest of my time to Councilman Barrett.
Is this the property directly behind the fire station? And does this go all the way to the interstate or to the boundary of MDOT property? Okay. And I know that one parcel is being looked at for a billboard. What is the I think there's 5 parcels. What are the remain? Are we just rezoning it for the sake of rezoning it, or is there something in the plans? Are we going to sell multiple places for billboards? What's the reasoning behind that? Because this is the most extreme zoning you can have, correct?
That's correct. Well, the uses that are on the property now already fall under the category of RB, which regional business. The reason there was not a zoning change is because a government operation can operate in any zoning under our land development ordinance. So there was never any need to change it. It's always been residential, but the uses there were allowed by our LDO. The billboard coming in, though, requires RB zoning. And so we thought that while we were doing it, we'd bring all the zoning into compliance with the uses that are already on the property.
So do we plan to keep this property or sell it, or?
That's a administration question.
Okay, all right, that's all I had.
Any discussion, Mr. Tisdale?
Nothing, thank you.
Any other discussion from anyone else?
Just one question to somebody. So we changed all the zones so somebody can build billboards? That's all it's going to do with this? Who come up with this idea?
Well, the applicant approached the city.
Who?
The applicant.
Who is that?
Approached the city.
A billboard company?
No, we've had multiple billboard companies asking about that sort of area. You can't have it more than every 1,000 feet by interstate ordinance anyway. So there's only really room for one, and it's just something to have that ability to do an RFP and see what that's worth. But right now, it's not zoned correctly to where it couldn't be done at all.
So if we pass this thing here, can you build houses out there? Or are we just going to eliminate neighborhood? Just don't do neighborhoods, do billboards? I mean, we went through this rezoning before, which is bunch on the river. Same thing, it's a regional thing. Okay, that was only when it changed the laws that we set in LDO that you even heard of regional business, whatever you got this thing here. We never had that before. It was basically, back then, what is it, something 5? That we had it in the LDO as a 5. And this where this came from. This was changed when we did the LDO. Well, my thing is, billboards all right, but I mean, you just can't have billboards.
It's a large.
We need neighborhoods somewhere.
No, it's done by the parcel. This is the parcel where Public Works has their work yard, the fire station is there.
The water tank.
Water tank is there. And no, that's not going to be a subdivision back there. That's going to remain as it is. But right now, it's not zoned to where a billboard could be put up. It's probably the best place for a billboard. But
I mean, we got water tanks.
But it's a large.
Possum necks. Water tanks don't mean nothing. Don't mean you can't build houses.
Well, it's a large parcel. I mean, alternatively, we could go in and have a survey done and subdivide and take out a piece of property and just allow for that. But it's a piece of city property, and we're just changing the zoning classification.
We're not going to go in and cut any trees or anything to where all that can be seen back there, are we?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Anything else? All in favor? 6-1.
Not in favor.
Mr. Lawrence against. We'll move on to
We're
resolution
going to shut
C.
down the whole town. We'll have just business. No neighbors.
Resolution accepting report of issuance of $1,418,600 principal amount for TIF bonds for the Walmart neighborhood project.
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Glavin.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Tisdale. Any discussion, Mr. Glavin?
No, I think I believe we're familiar with the TIF bonds at Walmart. We've talked about them several times, and this is just a kind of a procedural thing.
Mr. Tisdale?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd like to have one question on this too. This has been on this agenda about 15 different times. Why it's only again? About the same thing. I know we need to do it. How much is this costing us every time we put this on the agenda?
No, the closing was last week, and this is just it's basically spreading it on the minutes, spreading the private placement letter on the minutes, and authorizing the repayment to the developer who put $1.3 million into the project, and it's to do it the way our TIF legal counsel she's charging a flat fee, so it's not costing any more every time she does one of these, so.
Yeah, because I think it's been in so many times, it costs us $1 million to get this $1 million. Well, you know, this has been only a ton. I mean,
It's the
I'm
second
not against
phase.
it, I'm just saying, why is it on it constantly all the time?
Because we had phase 1 and this is phase 2, but this is the last phase.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what we said last time. So this is gonna be, we'll never see this again now. I'm gonna write that across the last page.
All right,
I just wanna
Jane?
make sure we got this straight.
Jane, well,
I hope so, my goodness, you know, every time it costs another time and money.
If fortune telling was legal, we'd know.
All in favor? Unanimous votes. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Second by Mr. Guines. Any discussion, Mr. Barrett?
I have nothing.
Mr. Glavine?
I have none.
Mr. Tisdale?
Yes, on item D, Mr. Abad and I were talking about this before the council meeting started. This deals with just compensation, part of a parcel for the Pops Ferry Road extension. And was looking at the amount to be sure I understood what the amount was, and I get that, but you'll see a number of columns on the document, the parcel number, then the area in square feet, and I just want to be sure that's correct. It's listed at 222 square feet. Is it, because we're paying about $250,000 for this property. And it says the square foot value is $6.50, if I understand that correctly, but I'm asking because I don't know, does that make sense? Or is there an error somewhere? I don't know. I'm sorry, we have the expert right here.
There he goes.
Okay, first of all, you've already approved this top part, okay? That was approved several months ago.
Okay.
What happened is the person that we're relocating is their just compensation, or just compensation for them to move them was $30,000 on the last one, and we had to raise it to 50. Back like last time when I was telling y'all about market value,
Right.
when we relocate somebody, we have to find replacement housing, and when we do that,
Exactly.
if it goes up and we have to pay more, then we may be 40,000, not 30. And that's what that's the only thing that we're changing in this.
So the only thing that's changing is the relocation cost?
That's right.
Gotcha.
Right. The other's already been approved and already been done.
Okay.
Craig, we're gonna have that problem with all the houses. It seems like every time we do one now, we have to do this relocation. I'm just wondering.
Say that again?
I said, we always seem to run into this now with the relocation, an extra $45,000, $50,000.
He's channeling.
So we're gonna face a lot of these coming.
Yeah, well, we're close to being done on Pops Ferry Road as far as relocation and acquisition. We still got some parcels that are vacant that we've got to buy, but we're closing in on that. I think there was only like 13. But like I said, we don't, when we start this, we don't know how much relocation is going to be sometimes. If we ballpark that number and we use $40,000, $50,000 and then kind of go from there, and hopefully it's less than that. So we're really, this number may be less than $50,000 when we actually write a check. It's just an up number. It's just, the maximum.
Thank you.
Oh, I got a question. Sorry. The $250,000, one line says to property owner relocation to exceed $50,000, which I'm sure that means not to exceed. And then the other one below it says tenant relocation cost.
Okay, this is the way that works. If you own a rental property and that's considered a business, okay? And when you have a business, you can relocate that business. So they can go buy another house and reestablish their house, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to pay them $50,000. they got to bring receipts. They have up to 1 year to bring in receipts and reestablish that house. I mean, you don't just get the money. I mean, like, they've got to go through that process. But what we're doing right now is we're just giving, it's an upset number. And in the Uniform Act, it spells out what you're eligible for. Like, there's a fixed payment for businesses up to $25,000 to basically just, if you're a barbershop and you were moving to another location, you would be able to go in there and renovate your place. You bring receipts showing that that's what it took for you to get back into business. So the business relocation can be a lot of different ways. But the tenant is the tenant, and in this case, the property owner rents the property. That's why there's two.
Thank you.
Got anything else, Mr. Tusa?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Deming?
Just note on the record that I'm going to be in opposition to D and G. Delta and Golf, yes.
If I could, I'm going to be in opposition. I'm not opposition, but I'm going to recuse myself of G. I know you're going to get the exceptions, but just want to make a note.
All right. Anything, Mr. Guines?
Yes, Ian, just a little on Ian. Are we going to use both of those guys, both companies, Knight Abbey and the Louisiana Group? Ian, just give me a little overview.
Everything is the same as we went through last week. This was just to make it official that they agreed that we would extend the contract 1 month because Mr. Spires had ordered paper for the issue that just went out, and Mr. Melee acknowledged for him to go ahead and do this at least this most recent newsletter, so he would not be out the paper he had already purchased.
Okay.
So we just moved it forward 1 month.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You just coordinated the payment dates.
Yes, sir.
Would you like anything to discuss, Mr. Lawrence?
What's that?
You want to discuss anything else?
It's my turn now?
It's your turn.
You only got no place to go yet, do you? All right, Mayor, you made $5 billion on this golf tournament. What kind of 750? What we get by 750? I never seen anything advertised anywhere. So I'm just trying to figure. People want to know.
Invited to come to the thing. So I mean, but anyway, basically we had 562 two-man teams, and we've been doing this for. City of Biloxi has been supporting this with a welcoming part of the program, and to again 1,100 and so golfers. So this is just a welcoming statement to the city and the council. Pictures and names on this ad, and we've been doing it for a number of years. Before me too. Before I was mayor.
I was just wondering, it said advertisement, so I was just wondering, how do we advertise? That's what it said, for advertising. I know it's a great event.
Program,
It brings a lot of people in Biloxi.
Yeah.
That's not my question.
It was a 45th event, and then again, an ad that's been taken every year in the program.
You want to up it, George? Did you want to increase it?
No, we're going to make it 300 next year. They made too much money anyway. I hope they made some money
good
anyway.
cause.
And on E, could you explain exactly the $17,000 we charged, and why is it a 25-year? We're going to 2043 on the air rights. This is a hotel.
Right.
Who come up with this number, 17,000?
That's an existing lease that's been in place since Hard Rock built that garage. It's they pay the city that amount every month. That's part of the rents we receive every year. And the downstairs where you're closest to the water, those are actually marina property owners parking. But they have support beams that hold up all those other floors of the garage. So that's the name of this lease they came up with back then. It's called an air rights, but It's actually the,
That was one thing.
it's
The other thing is that
it's about
normally,
a third of the property of the city, that garage covers over a third of the city's property. But the other two-thirds of the
that was
rest
the
of the garage.
apartments, the old apartments used to be there.
Yes, sir.
The 25, is that normal, that long, 25 years?
It probably has renewals in there. This was just, they're refinancing, and they asked us to just approve that their lease was up to date, and they were paying they were paid up and not in default. Anytime they do a refinancing, those lenders will ask that, and we checked everything out.
I think the last time was 2003, they did this.
We did it for Golden Nugget probably a year or two ago as well.
Okay, thank you.
All
And,
right.
the next one, I just got to have some clarification on is, I understand what they're doing here with this trust fund, but I don't think we have the right to transfer it to somebody else. I think that should be taken out of the city and given to whoever, if somebody wrote a letter, a request, then that money needs to be sent to them, and they disperse it the way they want. I mean, this is a trust that was set up for the Tricentennial Park. The park was never built.
Let me try. So Jerry O'Keefe, may he rest in peace, set up a trust to give the city money, raise money over time and give the city money for the centennial in 2076. And I guess Jerry O'Keefe, may he rest in peace, didn't put enough money into the trust, and it sat there and it hasn't been gaining any money. And the family finally figured out this trust was there in the People's Bank and said, geez, it's obviously not going to make any money. Why don't we put it into the Orr O'Keefe Museum Maintenance Fund instead? And the city thought, sounds like a good idea.
I can understand all that, but I mean, I don't think we need to send it back to them, and they can do what they want with the money. It's not our right to pass it on.
That's
to
essentially
anybody.
what's happening. We're giving the money. We're basically
right?
walking away from our rights, whatever rights we might have had, and we're letting them put the money into the Orr O'Keefe Museum.
Which I don't think we have the right. They want to rescind this, break that down, you send the money back to them, and they put it where they want.
Well, we were the beneficiary of that trust, and it's essentially a donation from the trust, or they're closing the trust. The trust is being closed. They're giving us
That's
$9,000, and they are asking that it be put into the maintenance account. Now, they've done the letter, they've had their board meeting, they've passed all that. They're asking us to acknowledge that that's what they've done, and that's where the money would go.
Well, I don't believe we have the rights to do that. I don't believe that. Maybe you can ask some legal person, I don't know.
Well,
But I mean, this is a trust.
He just
This is
did.
a trust.
Yeah, we
I'm
need
talking
another.
to Peter, but I know,
Peter need another
he's over
lawyer.
there chopping up the bit. So he can say I was wrong, but I just don't think we have the right to, I don't care what they do with the money. Take out the money and give it to them, they can do what they want with it.
Council Deming,
I'm not
are you a
saying-
legal person? Can you
You want to
speak
get
to it?
Peter
I
some
mean,
advice?
I don't
You want to get
think
Peter
that
some
we
advice
should
here?
do that. I just
Give me
think
a
that's the
lifeline,
right
give
thing
me a
to do.
lifeline from
Are you a
Councilman
legal
Davis.
soothsayer or fortune teller?
I mean, y'all, and like we have this here, do you have an official letter from them, from the trust?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, we have a letter signed from them. I think that's attached.
Anything else, Mr. Lawrence?
no, that's just,
All in favor of the consent
I just have
agenda?
a problem with that, that's all.
Unanimous vote with Deming against D as in dog, G as in girl, and Kenny's abstaining against G as in girl.
I'm
You
against
are
aye.
so against. Okay.
I'm not voting for aye.
Code enforcement. What'd you say?
So I'm not voting for aye.
And Lawrence is voting against I as in Irene.
Irene.
The first case on the agenda, item A, Francis Abney Life Estate, 277 Nixon Street. This property is still in violation.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Francis Abney of 277 Nixon? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
My name is Mary Abby Murphy, and I am on behalf of Frances Abney. I'm her daughter. She has stage 4 dementia, Alzheimer's, so could not bring her. So I'm asking for an extension on the cleanup of that property on Nixon Street. That was her sister's property that she ended up with. And her grandson was keeping it clean till he tore up his lawnmower with people using it as a dumping ground on Nixon Street, and then he says it's the park they throw in on the back of the park. So he's messed up his lawnmower, and that's why I got up like that high, him in the process of getting it fixed. So we're asking for an extension to get it back.
How much
You
time?
think 30 days will be enough?
30 days?
30 days?
Can you give me any longer than 30 days? Can you give me longer than 30 days?
How long?
I would say maybe 60 days.
We'll give them 60 days. 60 days. 2 months.
2 months.
Get
Do
it
you have
on.
a second?
Yeah, just try to give us a little progress on it. At least if he can kind of start getting them down. Because what one of the complaints is, you know, it harbor rodents and things like that in that area. So we need to kind of start getting it down a little bit.
I'll
So
second it.
We'll work with you on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion by Mr. Guines, second by Mr. Tisdale for 60 days extension. All in favor? Unanimous of who's left?
Okay. We got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, well, thank you.
Item B on the agenda, Steve Bergamini, 328 Cruces Street. This property is still in violation.
Anyone here to speak on behalf of Steve Bergamini at 328 Crucial Street? If not, this case is closed.
Item C, Linda C. Dodson, Life Estate, 353 Magnolia Street. This property is still in violation.
Anyone here to speak on behalf of Linda Dotson at 353 Magnolia Street?
Sorry, I had to go.
If not, this case is closed.
They all leave. Where we at?
Item D on the agenda,
Okay, lady.
Lucia Patricia O. Sanders, care of Renee Kertricia, 962 Thelma Street. This property is still in violation.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Lucy Patricia O. Saunders Estate at 962 Thelma Street? If not, this case is closed.
Item E, Christopher K. Sweatman, 515 Howard Avenue. This property is still in violation.
Is there anyone here on behalf of Christopher K. Sweatman at 515 Howard Avenue? If not, this case is closed.
Item F, Lewis Askin Properties LLC, 217 Bayview. That case has been resolved.
Do I have a motion on the routine agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Glavin. Any discussion, Mr. Lawrence?
Neither one of them here.
Yeah, Mike Linden.
Linda, how much money we got in Linda? I mean, your 2 cohorts didn't come today, so I was just wondering, figure you might know something. Everybody's off tonight.
Okay. Any more discussion on the routine agenda? All in favor? Unanimous vote. Do I have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence. Second by Mr. Deming. All in favor? Unanimous vote. Meeting recessed.